because I'm going back 10, 11 years, maybe even 12 years now, I can't think off the top of my head, but my first standout memory of anything paranormal happening in this building was the rattling of the doors and everyone being scared and all staying basically in my room overnight, because everyone was just, well, there's no other way to put it, everyone was petrified, and I thought of sort of in a way or another basically I had to put my big boy pants on and try and work out what was going on, but I still to this day can't explain it. I had this room myself. A friend of mine, John, stayed in the next bedroom. There was a younger girl, Hannah, that was in this room, so these are 3 bedrooms. And then there was 2 tenants on the floor below, because it's a 5-bedroom flat. This is quite a large room. It was my bedroom at the time. And essentially, shortly after we moved in, basically everyone started hearing knocks, bangs, running up the stairs. One particular night, everyone basically thought that we were all playing tricks on each other, because everyone experienced the same thing, where there was like knocks on our bedroom doors or rattlings of the handles. So it continued to happen for so long, over a period of hours, that everyone was blaming each other and no one could rule anything out. So I basically said, right, to eliminate the problem, everyone come into my room. It's the largest bedroom, this room. And we'll just all sit here for a few hours. We'll talk, we'll act normal, we'll watch some TV, do whatever, and then we'll go from there. And while we were every single person that lived in the building was in one room, it continued to happen. There was footsteps on the stairs, bangs, knocks, and basically not this exact handle, but the door handle of my bedroom door, which is more like the handle you see here, which is an old school knob handle. What happened was, as we were all in the room, it basically rattled and shook the door like that. As you can hear there, I don't know if this is the original door, I think it is. But it rattled like that and the handle shook. Obviously everyone freaked out. There was 2 possible scenarios. Either someone had broken in and was trying to come into our rooms and steal things, or obviously it was spiritual activity. So it got to the point that I was like, right, I'm gonna go out, see what's going on. I shouted hello, there was no response. I came out of the room, there was no one anywhere to be seen whatsoever. So every tenant was basically creeped out. We all stayed together for what I can remember was most of the night, until at least the sun had come up. Because it was such a strange, at the time it was the most strange experience for most of us. I'd experienced things previously in other premises and other properties, but for most of the people that were here who were quite young, they were all sort of 19, 20, it'd been their first experience of anything potentially paranormal, so it was very scary for them. They couldn't explain it, I couldn't explain it. So generally we had to just stay together as a unit, so we couldn't blame each other, and just continue as the night went on. But it continued to happen through the night, didn't go away, nothing stopped. It continued to happen basically ongoing for, I couldn't put a time frame on it, but it continued to happen while we remained in the building, sort of across the next few weeks to months. We kind of just got to come to terms with it in the end, because you live with it.
Yes, it's about 1980, 81.
Yeah, I think so, 80, 81.
But it was in this bar. We were all sat here in this bar.
The end of the night?
Yeah, it was the end of the night, and we were all having a drink after hours. And it was pouring rain outside. It was really dark, miserable, windy night. So we were all in here, all talking, and 2 of the men went up to the toilet. And then when they come back shouting, who's been mucking about with the lights and all this. See? So we said nobody will look at them stupid. Nobody had moved. So Julia and another lady wanted to go for a wee. So I said, come on then, I'll be brave. I'll come with you. So we're up in the toilets. They're in the cubicles. I'm by the sink. And all of a sudden, because there's 2 doors to the toilets, and they just puffed open. That's all I could see was puffed. One, then the other. And all of a sudden, it went freezing cold. You could see breath. So I could hear her shouting, he's here in here. And I said, well, I think so. But you couldn't see nothing but just her breath. So when all of a sudden then, the doors just puffed open, he went, and it just went nice and warm again. When we come back down then, Pam, who was like a spiritualist, or fortune teller, she knew, because she said, you've just experienced him, haven't you? And we said yes. So she started telling us about him, how he was a young boy in the war, wasn't it? And he got bombed in the top bar. So he will not come in the bottom bar, he will just go from that end up.
Because this wasn't here then, was it?
No, it wasn't made then.
Yeah, so in the war.
Yeah.
So when I first took over the premises, we were refurbishing in the top bar on the Kingsway, and there used to be a little old grey CCTV monitor, and I was behind the back bar painting the wall, and at the corner of my eye, because the monitor was always on, I noticed some movement in this bar, the Park Street bar, which we hadn't actually started doing any work to yet. It was just a shell with the old bar top. But there was a handbag on the bar, and I've put it here just so you can see. There's no explanation for it. The handbag on camera moved from here all the way like that across the bar pretty quickly. There was no one in the room. Unfortunately, I don't have the footage anymore, but to this day, I'll never will ever be able to explain that. There was no shadow, there was no figure to be seen on camera, but it was clear as day that the bag moved from here to the other side of the bar, and it happened. I noticed it in the corner of my eye whilst painting, and then replayed the footage.
I remember Wendy and John telling me this, and because he could hear the ghost, he could hear it till he come down in the morning. You could hear the ghost clip-clopping behind the bar. Then all of a sudden it would go quiet because he's on the carpet. And then if he's back in the corridor going down, you could hear him clip-clopping again.
And I just remember that Wendy and John, they did have experience of somebody walking upstairs. And I remember always coming down the stairs from the flat. You could always hear somebody coming down.
The stairs to the upper floors of this building are wooden. So they are very creaky and very apparent. If someone is coming up that stairs, you know it. So if myself or Jordan are sat in the office next door and we're doing some work and it's only us in the building, or someone comes in and we don't know it's on camera, you will know they're coming up the stairs because you will clear as day. I mean, you'll know it yourself from walking up the stairs. They creak. You can hear the floorboards. There's no explanation for things like that. Like the stairs are always going to give off a very clear noise if someone walks on them, and if there's no one there and you're hearing those noises, the only explanation is that there's, let's say, an entity you can't see with the human eye.
There was always a ghost here.
Oh, it was always a ghost. I didn't
But he
realise
never
until
harmed
Pam said,
us.
no, never
No,
bothered.
no.
But Pam knew loads about it, didn't she?
Yeah, but she was a spiritualist,
Yeah.
didn't she? It wasn't scary, was it?
No, it wasn't. It's like what happened in Troy.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared. But it was just the way he went cold, and it was different,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
never believed until that night.
I just felt I always knew there was a ghost, but I told you I couldn't.
Yeah.
Let's go back a while, but
Yeah.
I just sort of knew there was a ghost here, so.
Yeah, I only knew that night, but you weren't scared. You weren't
No.
scared at all. You weren't worried to be on your own or anything like that.
But he was supposed to be a young soldier,
Yeah,
wasn't
young
he?
soldier. That's what we were told.
Is there any reason why there's a camera on that door?
You know what? I don't know, and that camera's been there since
Because he's literally looking at the
nothing.
back of the stairway.
Yeah, nothing at all. I know.
In the meantime, that symbol, it sounded like a symbol, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because I thought I bumped into the symbol,
Yeah.
but there was nothing around me, so.
Is that why you're sitting over here now?
Well, that's why I moved, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I'm
Get away from the whole big symbol.
God, this is going back quite a few years ago now. I mean, we did the refurb, and we used to hear noises downstairs. Now, we used to keep a lot of the musical equipment down there as well. But I know the sound of a cymbal dropping, and that's what I used to hear down there. And we used to go down, nothing. Now, there was a drum kit down there, but outside this cupboard is where all the drum equipment was. We went down there and we could hear it inside this cupboard. Now, we just done this refurb and that cupboard had been filled to the brim with wood. So I put this camera in. Going forward then to the Bunkhouse days, I'd forgotten about that camera, to be honest. I actually put more cameras round downstairs, and there was just strange stuff happening all the time down there. It's a building with a bit of history. I mean, never really caught that cymbal being dropped or anything on camera. But I've been a sound engineer for 25 years. I know what a cymbal sounds like when it's dropped, and that's what it was constantly. Literally, you'd open this cupboard and it was so full in there, you couldn't move. But that sound, it was definitely coming from inside that cupboard. Yeah, it was creepy.
So we are here in the office where there has been an unexplained occurrence where a laptop battery pack has come off a desk. I can't see any way how that could have moved. As we've checked, there's no draft coming in. There's no way from being under the desk to get enough pressure to move it. You'd see evidence of, if it was somebody, let's have a prank, you'd see the evidence of that. So what we've done at the moment, we've asked if there's anyone here, and if they would like to, if they'd like to move the wire that we have on the table. It's a HDMI cable, and let's see if anything happens. So when that moved before, what was going on in the venue at the time?
Nothing.
Nothing? Right, okay.
It was, I think it was closed to the public.
Okay, right, okay. So I mean, we've done a temperature check and everything as well. Obviously, there's the coldness of the room, obviously of the exterior walls behind me here. Obviously, in case there's any drafts, obviously we've got a natural draft coming through the venue anyway. So we have noticed there is a 1 degree change from this side of the room where the window is to the left-hand side of the room where the sofa is. So it's, again, that could be a variety of things, just natural coldness of a room anyway, but it's something that we try to take into account. At one point, there was a good change in temperature on the left-hand side of the room by the sofa, where it would change quite drastically. It's only a point, 2 or 3 degrees, but sometimes that's always a sign of something. It doesn't help because obviously you've got the back end of the camera, the TV in, sorry. So obviously, one of the thoughts we had was, could there have been somebody on the floor who could have maybe pulled a wire to get it come off and everything as well. Now obviously we can't rule that out because you can't see past the TV, but certain things that we look for would be like, if you had somebody on the floor near the wood, you'd see the reflection. Like for example, at the moment you can see the reflection of the heater in the wood. So if you had somebody there, you'd see a hand, or you'd see something, which from the footage we've seen, it doesn't look like there is. Again, can't rule it out, but I wouldn't say that there is somebody there. But again, you could see how somebody might go, oh, there could be somebody pulling it. In my experience, I don't think there is, but again, it's hard to tell. If the camera was here, for example, and all this was clear to see, but again, I don't think there is, but who knows? Because it's on top of the hole. We tried to see if maybe we can get and move it with enough force. We were like looking at the video they've got and testing the theory. You'd see someone's hands. So we then, the only other thing we said we can't debunk is on their footage where the top of the telly is. In theory, there might be somebody on the floor. Do you know what I mean? So trying to look at every single angle of it.
But like I said, it's explained to you again right now. I don't know whether you were here, but we've seen something down by here, and then we realised then when Sarah stood up, it's her reflection of it. because it's plastic in it. We've asked as well throughout it for this door to be banged,
Locked.
to try and draw the aunt's attention, or to move the t-shirts. What you have got a lot of is orbs, which is caused by dust or insects. You probably get that on your security cameras and stuff like that a lot, don't you? But yeah, it's been pretty quiet really.
We've taken it in turns to stay down here, and the other's gone up and walked around and gone up on the stage and different things and jumped about just to see if you could hear it down here. And you can, quite honestly, you can hear quite a lot.
But there's certain noises we haven't been able to debunk yet, so we've still got a few noises in the corner there and a couple of rumbles, which we're going to go and investigate now and see if we can find something. We've got there's a tapping noise. We can't quite, it's like 3 little taps or so, isn't it? We can't work out whether it's behind the drums, in the corner, out in the corridor. You've heard it twice, isn't it? I think twice it's happened. But the rumble we've heard, I don't know.
Half a dozen times.
Yeah, at least half a dozen times. So we're trying to debunk whether that's something maybe out on the road. So we're going to put a few of us up on the main road, and 1 or 2 of us down here, and then trying to pick up whether there's anything corresponding with the rumble down here and maybe a larger vehicle up on the road. So we don't know, it could just be a car, but it's not happening as often as you would expect a car to pass. It's happening every couple of minutes, and sometimes it'll be just 2 minutes between each rumble, and sometimes it might be 7 or 8 minutes between a rumble. So we don't really know what's causing it at the moment. So we're putting it as potentially traffic, but that's what we've got to check.
Right, so we've had one team outside watching the traffic, and we've been connected by WhatsApp call just so that I can let them know when I hear rumbling.
Right, there's a bus coming past now.
It's not this side of the road though.
On your end, okay? How about now? Can you hear that? That was 3 bangs, yeah.
Hello, Glynneth.
Right, so you can hear the banging but not the shouting. Right, okay. Right, so let me make a note of that then. 13, 12. The year the boy raced the car.
Yeah.
Faint one.
A rumble, did it?
Just a faint one.
Right, okay, so we had 3 buses going past at the same time, all straight after each other. So, Sarah's just said, rumble, as those 3 buses went past. 3 buses to make a rumble. Right, and in.
Right, that was 3 buses at the same time.
Right, so 3 buses at the same time made a faint rumble that I heard, but Bex didn't.
Serious.
So when the boy racer went past, what did you guys hear?
An exhaust. It was very definitely somebody accelerating.
Yeah, the buses, then there was one, and then a car, and then the other 2. So literally, to all 3 of them to be close together, you'd hear a slight rumble.
And they'd gone past,
Yeah.
and then you.
Well, I don't know, because as you said rumble, they were just going past, but I had you on mute, and I couldn't unmute you quick enough.
It's okay.
Because you can't ever shut up. I was busy whistling to keep warm. So all we're going to do is literally, we'll just do it for a minute, alright? So what I'll do, let me put my stopwatch on. And we'll see if we hear anything.
That's me banging.
Alright. Alright then, whenever you're ready. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, you want it? That's fine.
Do you want that lamp off?
No, that's fine. So I don't know how you felt over there, right? Because you were closer to that door than I am. When the lights were off,
How did you feel behind that door?
it felt really calming. Yeah, it didn't feel like uneasy or anything like that at all. It was just like, oh,
Well, if you think about it, if they're practicing in here, they've got all that energy built
yeah,
up. They're doing something so normal that they're not for them,
yeah,
and that's when things tend to happen. Is when people are in there doing
Yeah.
stuff, music's going.
yeah. It didn't feel like, oh, like an uneasy space at all. I mean, the rumbling noise, like, I don't know, like, because you can hear a lot of the premises when you're down here.
I don't think you can hear a lot. You can hear walk.
So,
Tap. What is it?
I don't know. It's coming from up there.
Taps. Pipes.
Pipes, isn't it? So,
Itty.
there's things I'd look for. Like, there's no natural drafts in you because none of the.
No.
Because there's nothing behind it, so that if it was drafting you, these would move. And they don't. And like where Leanne says she felt this seat go down. I don't know, it just feels really calming, yeah? Cold but calm.
But then it's not normally like cold and calm when things happen down here, is it?
No. And with that, it ended.
For a minute.
For a minute, aye. You find it sometimes the way the building is built, you can have like the heating pipes or water or even just the standard electric wiring coming through. You'll hear things where it'll just be tapping against metal and stuff. So, we've experienced it before in other places where you'll hear a tapping noise. People go, I could hear this knocking noise, and it could literally just be a pipe hitting against a screw or something, just tapping away. I think that's just more like a water pipe or something, or could you have the piping coming through all the way to the as well, so it could just be doing something with that. You hear that then? Oh, see, I found that odd because I heard that over there, that side of the room. But I heard this go first and then that. So you heard a shudder on the door and then that over there. Because just as I was going to write that down, it happened over there. And that's solid. So that's so it literally did that. I mean, I've had to shake that to get that to happen. So, I mean, that could just be wind or something coming through the whole building, like.
Is there any windows in there?
No, it's another door behind here. It's just a storage area.
And we're just getting used to the layout of the building. Downstairs has probably been the most interesting part so far. We've concentrated our cameras down there and our investigation down there because that's where we're finding most things happening down there at the moment. And a few things down there we haven't been able to debunk either. We've tried different experiments and things down there. But at the moment there's still lots of questions unanswered. So we tried to work out if the rumbles that we're hearing down in the lower room maybe traffic passing, because obviously we've got Kingsway just outside. So we've sent part of the team outside as well as downstairs, so they had communications between the two at the same time, and we had a very slight rumble, a lot quieter than normal, and at the same time there were 3 buses that was going past. So we're wondering if 3 buses only create a small rumble, what is creating the larger rumble. So we can't quite work that one out just yet. But it would be good to get a little bit more into the corridor on the next investigation and see if we can work out anything else. You know, maybe there's ventilation down there, maybe it's the adjoining building, we're not too sure yet.
So I worked for Paranormal Lights Cymru for about 2 years, and then I stepped away for personal reasons. So when I took on the premises, I wasn't actually actively involved in any form of paranormal investigation. I had decided to sort of step away from that situation because it was a lot of late nights, and things like that can affect you mentally. So I just decided for my benefit it was best that I stepped away. And a few years down the line, when I was about 20 and I was living here, the owner of the premises ended up renting the space to the group I originally worked for, Paranormal Lights Cymru, and I was living here at the time, so I did join the investigation just because I wanted to see what they were doing, but I wasn't an active part of the team at that time, if that makes sense. So I was just at that point an onlooker and someone who lived in the building. I wanted to know what they were doing because it was my home. And I didn't want them antagonising things that had already been, let's say, playful with the door handles and the bumps and the everything we'd experienced going on in the building already. I didn't want it to get worse. So I wanted answers, but I was worried they'd make it worse. And from there, yeah, it didn't. I wouldn't say it got worse, but it certainly didn't go away, which is what led to me basically contacting an individual from Seven Sisters, and she basically came down. I asked her without giving her any information, I wanted her to give me her perspective on things, and I said, we'd experienced a lot of things and we wanted to feel comfortable here, and if there was things she could do to help us pass over the spirits or give advice, that would be great. And I wanted someone, the reason I asked her was because I wanted someone that had a calmer approach and a more respectful approach, if you like, rather than antagonizing and deliberately trying to make things happen. Like what you'll experience sometimes on paranormal investigations is that they want things on camera, therefore they will antagonize and ask for it to happen, whereas I wanted her to come in as a calm and respectful individual and basically give me things from her perspective and try and help me cleanse, if you like, make us feel more at home. And she actually came in and said at the time that it was one of the most active buildings she'd ever been in her life. That specific night, she told us, I believe, if I remember correctly, that number might be slightly wrong, but it was definitely in the it was about 96 spirits that she claimed were within this premises, within the vicinity, that she'd passed over, that were actively within the walls, if you like, that were confused, or however you'd like to put it, but there was a lot of history, a lot of well, she was shocked, to say the least. And after that, it didn't go away, but it certainly calmed down. Things have happened over the years since, obviously, and the staff here have got their own experiences, but Karen, who came in at the time to help out, as I said, she said 90 plus spirits that she passed over, and that was without ones still remaining. So she didn't claim to pass them all, but her response was baffling, to say the least, when she said it was one of the most active buildings she'd ever been in. That was eye-opening for me, to say the least, because I'd experienced a lot, but I didn't expect someone who was she was an active psychic medium that had been to a lot of places, so for her to say from her perspective, oh look, this is there's a lot of activity here. Obviously I already knew there was something going on, but I didn't expect those figures. I didn't expect her to say there was so much going on. She was here for a good few hours, and she was just as, baffled as me. Like, it was incredible to witness everything that she said was going on, because I don't know, it was so calm, but at the same time, I don't know how to describe it. You could almost feel the pressure release, if you like. I don't know if that was just maybe in my head, and it was nice to just hear things were gone, but it certainly calmed down after that night, and everyone felt a bit more at home here, to say the least. Little things did still happen, but again, as anyone would, you can't rule out, oh, it's an old building, heating, temperature changes, squeaky floorboards, the wind, whatever. Little things did happen that kind of made us go, oh, what was that? But nothing as notable as when we first took on the premises and all the activity that had happened in the bar area and the upper floors and whatnot. It was crazy how much changed overnight.
A lot of the Kingsway was destroyed in the Blitz. It was decimated, that area, so probably a lot of casualties down there. Which I'd be pretty annoyed if I was sitting in there and someone dropped a bomb on it, so, unrested souls kind of thing.
Hundreds of people pass through this building and have done historically, as it's been a pub or a night trade venue. Positive energies, negative energies. And they say you can feel a person's energy sometimes, and I think that's also a possibility.
I don't think there's anything nasty there, because no one's ever been hurt or anything. Maybe it's just one that maybe likes playing the drums, we don't know. It was always something to do with musical instruments. When we'd have live music upstairs, it would be after that, or when we were sound checking, if we were quiet, that's when you'd hear something.
I definitely would say, from what I've experienced, I can't put my finger on it. I do believe in ghosts, spirits, however you want to call it, entities. But can I explain it? No.